strategically.
There you go.
I'll do it too. I'll clear this joint out.
All right, let's go ahead and call the meeting of the Horry County Board of Education to order. Members, you've got a copy of the agenda for this evening. Are there any changes? Hearing none, then I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Motion by Randa, second by Conrad, all in favor? It is approved. A couple of notes real quick before I turn it over to Mr. Lockridge. Board member Tanner Davis is on virtually due to an illness. He cannot be here, but we did want to make a note that he is listening and is here. Also, we are scheduled to go into the vote on the millage rate at 6:05. We understand that we will probably not make that time. But I do want to ask that we've had several that have been here for one or both of the other meetings, and we've heard from you folks. If you have something new, definitely we want to hear that. We do. If you're just, and how I put this correctly, if you're just repeating the same thing, we have heard you. I promise. We have definitely heard you previously. We just want to give everybody a chance who hasn't been here to speak their piece, their concerns, or whatever. So, not trying to be mean or anything, but I just want you to know if you've been here, we have heard you, believe me. So at this time, I am going to turn everything over to Mr. Lockridge.
Well, I appreciate all being here. I'm gonna move over here and I'll kind of go through the same thing that we have two other times previously, and then I'll just stop and allow anyone to ask any question about anything that you would like to, and we will do our best to have the answer for you, or if we can't come up with it, if we can get your information, we'll get it to you. I know we had a question this morning in regards to the enrollment center, and Terry Robinette, we finally got them that information, and so everything, so that we did that. So anyway, appreciate you being here and showing interest and hopefully trying to understand things, but this is the digest that is in the paper, the 5-year digest of levy, and as you can see, for 2023, the millage rate is at 15.5 mil. We can talk about an increase, or it's not an increase. It's the value went up. You're paying more taxes. That's the more I'm paying in taxes. What all constitutes an increase? But the millage rate itself has been the same in the Murray County school system. This is the 22nd year that it's been 15.5 mils. And during those 22 years, at times this digest that you see the last 5 years has gone up. There are years when it went down. And we kept the rate always at 15.5 mils. It is a projected tax revenue increase if all this is collected, which we know, it won't be, but that, according to this, is another $1.1 million that comes into the school system this year. Well, what does that go for? Well, this year, compared to previous years, in 2024, this is the fiscal year that we're in, we've got state health insurance that is not paid for by the state. We know that cost is $952,000. Social Security, for those who elected to take it, this year's $560,000. Additional resource officers that we have this year that we've added, which before this year is over, we'll have a resource officer at every school. That's $100,000. We know diesel fuel's gonna go up, utilities are gonna go up. We got about $1.2 million 1.2 million square feet of heated and cool space. Occupational therapy, physical therapy, that cost goes up every year that we're required to provide that service. On, and there's many others, but those are some of the big ones, of $2 million in our budget that we know we have increases. And then just so that you do know, I mean, we are conscious of trying to keep our budget lower. We do a lot of things that a lot of school systems don't do to keep our costs lower. We have a 160-day school year, and this year it's that was last year's number. It's really gonna be more than 950 because once you factor in all the other increases, but it'll save at a minimum of $950,000 this year by being on a 160-day school year. Us, and I think if I'm not mistaken, there's maybe 3 other systems in the state of Georgia that do a 160-day school year. But we do that because we know it's a cost benefit to the school system. Is it's what's best instructionally? We can debate that, whether it is, whether it isn't. But for this point of discussion, every year, that's $950,000. We know that using employees to drive buses, that saves about $510,000. Contract custodial services, by not having our own employees, that saves over $1 million. And the shared savings, which we pay employees to not take our health insurance, so they choose, that saves another $250. It could save even more, because we don't know how many will sign up to do that program in January. So of those things, we know that we save, $2.8 million. So we're always conscious of trying to save money, do things less expensive. This part right here just shows our millage rate for this school district is 15.5 mills, as it has been for, this is the 22nd year. It's been 15.5 mills. If you look at comparing apples to apples, what are the school districts around us? What is their millage rate? What do they pay? Well, Dalton City's 20.2. That is equivalent because it's really, if they on their website, it would say 8.095, but it's really 20.2 because they tax at 100% value, not 40% like we do in Murray County. Whitfield County's 18.75. They may be rolling back to 18.25. I don't know where they're at. But even at 18.25, we're still 3.25 mils lower than the are in Whitfield County. Gordon County's 18.25, Floyd County's 17.7. So I show all that just to show that we are by no means are we the highest. And if we were, that would certainly have some concern. This is what someone asked a question this morning, how does Gordon County get by with a millage rate of 9.13? And that's a very good question. How do they do that? Well, they can, because just the values of 1 mil of property tax in Gilmer County brings in $2.4 million. They spend more per child than we do at a millage rate that's lower. It's just the way things are assessed much higher in Gilmer County. The values are higher. They got less students. They got more retirees. On and on and on. There's a lot of factors, but that's one way that they can do that. If you look at what we spend per pupil, this next year, this is 2024 numbers on our adopted budget, and these are the budgets that these school systems, this same group right here, where are they at? What are they gonna spend? Well, Dalton City spends $12,184 per student. Whitfield County will spend $11,799 per student. Gordon County will spend $11,890 per student. Murray County, we will spend this year on this budget This is our student population, $11,012. Catoosa County will spend 13, Gilmer County's gonna spend 12, even though their rate's lower just because of. So, we can, you know, in our budget of 74 million, where could you cut some? Yeah, we could cut some, somewhere. But even you cut something, you're still gonna spend, we're still spending less than here. And if I looked at 2022, which is the last year that it's available, this is the state of Georgia. There's 180 school districts in the state of Georgia. And this is a ranking of the amount that was spent per student. Murray County, we're 155. That means there's only, from Lawrence County on down to Long County, these are the only systems that spend less per child than we do. Everybody else spends more per child than we do. So you can argue that both ways. Are we spending less on the kids in Murray County, or are we not as cost efficient? I mean, I look at it as, you know, we spend less than most anybody. And that's what you have to look at, comparing apples to apples. I know the county's rolling theirs back, and that's great for them, but you can't compare us to the county. You've gotta compare our school system to another school system, the same requirements. And I will, we can look at, you know, I said, we have been the same for 22 years. And always done everything we can to provide the best education for the students here in Murray County. We are a strategic waiver system, which means we can waive about any rule that the state board may pass down. And some of those rules are class size. We can waive class size, which means we can, to lower our cost, we can have more students in a room. We don't have a limit. But we don't wanna do that, cause we know what's best for kids and those teachers. We comply, we are under the state board rule for maximum class size. Everywhere. And we think that's what's best for kids. To do that, it costs money to do that. But in order to do what we think, that's what's best. I know I met with Audra Allen not too long ago at Chatsworth. We were talking about the numbers in her kindergarten. But I'm telling you, there's the salaries and benefits of this $74 million is about 88% of our budget. And that's what, and you look at any school system in the state of Georgia, that's about, it's all salaries and benefits. There's a few things that you can do, but all of that goes to what we think is to providing a free and adequate education to all the people in Murray County. Now, it's unfortunate, I agree with the system that we're in, that property owners have to pay for a large portion of that. I'm with you, cause I'm one of them. And mine, every time it goes up, I'm paying it too.
We didn't get a raise.
Huh?
We didn't get a raise.
That's right. But the thing is, we are where we're at. So it costs more to operate a school system every year. And you're right, talking about raises, every person in the school system, this FY24 got a raise of $2,000. Some of that was passed on by the state of Georgia that was required for every teacher, every lunchroom worker, and so on down the line. And then what we did, the school board, at my recommendation was to give it to everybody, whether you were funded by the state or not, so you're not picking and choosing. I think that was a fair thing to do. But I look at our cost, you know, compared to others, and I mean, that's what, you know, to judge us by what the other school systems, what their cost is of operation. A bus, Randall's always needing buses, we're adding 4 ounce every day. A few years ago, we could buy buses for $74,000. Today, a bus is $125,000. So, I mean, we can talk about costs, and I'll be glad to answer any question I can, but I'll just open it up if anybody has any questions.
First of all, the chart in the paper is $200,000 higher than that chart. Why is that?
The chart in the paper.
Yeah, I got a copy of it right here. It says 1.3 if I'm not mistaken. It says 1.38594.
Right there?
Yep, right there.
What?
We've got 1 point something. You're showing 7%, newspaper showed 9%.
What I'm showing is notice that says projected increase in tax revenue.
Yeah.
All of that revenue that is in the paper will not come to the school system. I know from a historical perspective, you gotta pay the tax commissioner the fee to collect the taxes, which isn't shown on there that we get. So that's what we have to operate off of, not what's it, and there'll be some people, and I don't know who they are, but there'll be some people that won't pay their taxes. So I don't know who that's
Okay.
gonna be.
That operate cost, I can see that. But on the other side, if you said judge y'all or judge the school system by what y'all want to do by the other counties,
Other school
the other
systems.
school systems. First of all, looking at the scores in our district, it's Cherokee, Gilmer, and all that, we are constantly at the bottom on all the charts. And
You're looking at Cherokee County.
I'm looking at Cherokee, Gilmer, Gordon, Whitfield.
And I've got them right here in this past year. You know, we're not always on the bottom, and I don't know what.
According to the state website, Gates, we are,
And what year does that say?
2023.
Okay, let me look at that and see what it says.
If I'm wrong, show me.
Because what I can tell you is, this is the milestone scores, this is as a whole for Murray County that doesn't show the individual.
ELA, yeah, and
Matt,
as a whole, and we're here as a whole as a county.
yeah, right.
Okay, I don't care if it's this school or that school, these children are being left behind because of what it is. And you coming in here and asking us for more money to do things, when I'm sitting here looking at a pay chart where $100,000 jobs has been added since the last 4 or 5 years. We used to have 9, I think it's 14, something like that, off the top of my head. And you expecting us to pick up the bill, and I've got kids going through here, and I want to know if they can read and write, and possibly, if we're lucky, teach them cursing.
Well, that's a good question, and I'll be glad. If
But,
you look-
wait a minute, I want you to finish explaining this to me.
Okay, I'm going to. If you look back about 4 years ago, and let's just go forward, 4 years ago, we had numerous people, and I should have the elementary principals to test it. We had numerous students who were 3 and 4 grade levels behind. We had students in the 7th grade that were on a 3rd grade reading level. And I'm just telling you where we were. Now, you're not gonna change that overnight. But if you will look at the progress that we have made in the last few years. Now, you're looking at the district as a whole, but I've got it here by individual school that feeds into that same. I can tell you right now, for example, Spring Place Elementary School in the 3rd grade, they increased their ELA scores, because you're looking at the whole, they increased their ELA scores.
Got math, science, I've got them all.
I do too, I've got them all, and we talk about test scores
Yeah,
all
but
you want.
you can pick out a good apple out of the bag and eat it. If only one apple's good, the rest of them in the county's bad. We can't separate school out, we gotta get them all up, because I might move up here on the north end, I might move down here on the south end, and why should the kids at this elementary school, and for me, or what I've been hearing, I'm a GOP leader from Murray County.
Now, what,
I've-
Mr. Havertz?
Yes, sir. I've had phone calls after phone calls about this.
Yes.
Listen to what I'm telling you. It ain't the teachers, it ain't the principals, it ain't the school system. It's this. Y'all need to understand that. It's this. I don't know what you're doing. In the last 2 years, you've had almost a 20% projected increase in taxes. 20%. Look at last year's numbers, and look at that, and just do the math, it's based off this, it's almost 19%. Where's the money going? Well, I understand that, at 20%, where you got a $2 million surplus, you're projecting you're gonna need, last year was almost, let me look at that chart, make sure the numbers are right. What was it last year? It went up another 3 or 4 million, cause it was almost 11% increase off of growth. That's real increase, that's not tax burden. When somebody builds a house, somebody moves in the community, that's how you grow a system. I spend anywhere in a given week from $500,000 to $1.5 million at my job. I'm a purchaser. Got the quotes back there. If you ain't budgeting money and doing it right, you're wasting our money. You wasting everybody's money in here. The school teachers, just as much as the principals, but everyone needs, just like he said. Everybody didn't get a raise. And you chose to give it across the board. That's admirable. According to this pay chart right here, here it is. Let's just start at the top of it. Superintendent, 2022, $142,000. 2021, $138,000. 2020, $138,000. 2019, $131,000. After that, it drops down, just probably the accountant at that point. 26, no, that's 2019, 131. 2018, 110, and in 2017, it was 100. You went superintendent all that time. I can go down this whole chart. Oh yeah, we have an assistant superintendent. It's a $100,000 job. Another one here, 200,000. I'm not 200, 120,000. When does it end for us? I'll give you every dime I've got if you get them test scores up and put us at the top of the list like Cherokee County or anybody else.
Well, number one, you compare us to Cherokee County all day long, and
Or Gilmer County.
I wish we could have where Cherokee County's on. But the problem, we're at a, disadvantage to Cherokee, but you can compare us to a lot of other, you looked at the whole, but I can tell you, over the last 3 or 4 years, we have had
Okay.
a steady growth and a steady increase.
You got them numbers? Why ain't they printed on that table for us to look at and verify? We're not stupid.
When would you like them tomorrow? I can email you, have you the same chart, because we're having a board meeting tomorrow night, that all the principals, we're gonna go over the test scores with the school board meeting tomorrow night.
Yeah,
And we can email that to you.
yeah, give me a copy of it.
We sure will.
I'll put my email address over there.
Okay. We'll do
And
that.
anybody that wants that, I'm not hard to find.
We'll be glad to do that.
I'm telling you this, our kids are suffering because y'all's poor mismanagement of the funds, and when you got, and you say we can't compare, that's what the state compares us with, we're in this district.
You're right.
And as an overall, I ain't talking about one school, this school. That's what a salesman does. The salesman gets up and they point out the good in the car, but when you walk by and say, what about that dent right there? Don't look at that.
Yeah, does your
Our
chart,
schools are failing.
does your chart show what what 6th grade math scores were in Murray County? What does it say they are? 6th grade math. As a whole.
I can tell you this, we've got less people taking the test and our scores is going down. Yeah, I've got it, but I ain't got it.
What's
with
it,
me.
what's the?
I've got it on spreadsheet
Okay, well,
at
tell-
my office. I ain't got it.
For the 6th grade math this past year, we had on milestones of 3 and 4 was 41%. The state of Georgia was 33%, and our recent district, which includes Cherokee County, was 41%.
Okay, the overall scores, and this is.
Now, you say overall of
Listen
what?
to me, from the 3rd, through the 8th, then you got algebra 1, geometry, and, 2 different geometry classes. The overall, Gilmer County scores was 44%. Ours was 34%.
In math,
In math,
the total.
the total,
I would agree with you.
okay?
But I'm saying, you can't get from where we
Is
were
it-
overnight. We have made steady growth for the last 3 or 4 years.
According to that same trend, we dropped though.
No, I don't disagree with there, we look at charts all day, but we have to drop. There's specific areas now where it may have dropped.
In 2017 and 18, in math, we were scoring 37.93%.
In what grade?
This is overall of schools in Murray County. I ain't picking out a grade, I'm not gonna single out a kid. But I can get the charts, but the math numbers ain't gonna change. Okay? In 2020 and 21, it was 25%. Okay? During 21 and 22, it was 35%. Okay? Now it's back down to 34%.
As a whole.
As a whole. Now, I can sit here and pick it out. I go through all these schools right here. It's got them listed. It's got Spring Place, Coker, Woodlawn. I've got it on every school here, on every subject. There's a problem. Now, whether if you want to admit it or not, and y'all want to admit it or not, but y'all need to understand this. The people are looking at what y'all do tonight. But you the problem. Whether if you want to accept it or not, you the problem. Because you're leading this stuff. And these people sitting here watching, and we're just one of hundreds.
Anybody else?
I have no doubt we're making gains. I think the teachers and principals are doing a good job with what they have.
But it's a
I think where Mr. Reed mentioned something a minute ago, talking about salaries and raises, you said it's not really fair to compare us, our school system, with Cherokee County and Gilmer County and all those other schools. When you asked for your contract extension and asked for your raise, did you compare our pay with any of the other counties?
Yes, we did.
Well, how is it fair to compare your salary with other schools, but it's not fair to compare?
No, you're misquoting
Academics
there,
or those schools.
you said, I said Cherokee County. It is not good to compare us with Cherokee County. I'll agree. I didn't say Whitfield County or Gilmer County or anybody else. I said Cherokee County,
Okay.
because they're the anomaly.
Right.
I'm gonna, and anybody, if you know anything about Cherokee County.
Okay, I misunderstood you. If it was just Cherokee County, you're right, they are an anomaly.
That's right, they're an anomaly, so but you can compare us to the gains that we made, you can compare my salary as superintendent, and I got an increase in 2022, got extension of my contract, and I've got that over there, I'll be glad to show it, and what the board based that on, I'm still the lowest paid superintendent in the North Georgia area, and I'm the lowest paid on the average of that chart that's over there of school systems on our side, by a significant amount.
But aren't we one of the lowest tax bases in the?
Not, we are, ours has gone up, but even if you wanna extrapolate that percentage, and I hadn't done that math, but I'll be glad to do it, and if you want me to, I'll be glad to provide you with that. But if you look at the percentage of what we pay per meal toward the superintendent's salary, I haven't done that with math, but I'll bet you it's still gonna be lower, because I'm lower by $30,000 on the average of anybody in this area.
But you did get an increase in salary, not
Okay.
just the $2,000.
Not-
I think Mr. Dunn asked you that 3 or 4 times today, and you
Somebody,
said you only got the $2,000.
somebody asked me the question this year, what were the salary increases, and it was $2,000. That's what I got for 2024. In 2023, I got a 7% increase when my contract was up to renew it for 2 more years. So, and it went up to, from 147 to 155. That's what mine went. And I'm still.
So what you got there on 148 is not correct, that's not this year.
Yeah, it just goes 2022.
So, that is correct.
Okay.
Anybody, is there anything else, anybody else have any questions or anything that we can,
I work in manufacturing, right? I lead a plant where we make yarn for carpet. Pretty much everybody in this room knows someone that's connected to that. When I go and ask for more money, I gotta have a strategic plan on how I'm going to optimize those dollars spent. I don't understand that here, outside of inflation. Well, our property taxes went up because of inflation. more than enough probably, because real estate inflated greater than the inflation rate in our area. Inflation has softened significantly. For instance, I buy commodities. One of the commodities I buy is nylon. Last year, I was paying $2.39 per pound for a product that the year before I was paying $1.09. This month, I'm issuing POs at 97 cents. So commodities markets will tell you just about everything you need to know about what's happening with inflation. You can follow it. I don't understand where the increase in dollars is actually gonna go, because I don't buy that the inflated costs that you're projecting are accurate. So with what Mr. Abernathy, I'm gonna echo him, I don't trust my board right now. And there is a low correlation between dollars spent per child and increases in educational achievement. There is a small correlation. You increase educational spending 10% per child, you might see a 0.1% in educational positive outcomes increase. So, what is the strategic plan that you guys are gonna use this money for to get us out of the educational hole that our community is in?
Have you looked at our new strategic plan that we just developed that's on our website?
I have not, I've not had time, I'll be honest with you and frank.
If you will look at that, if you haven't and can't get that, let us know, and we'll be glad, if you'll leave an email address, we'll be glad.
I will speak to one thing that I have been told about some things that were done in the past, which is standardized curriculums between the schools, which I think is a farce. All you're doing is handicapping the kids that can excel to accommodate for the ones that can't. And I'm sorry, but that's exactly, I went to school to be an educator, 100%. And I changed my career path my senior year after I did my student teaching, because I could not be hamstrung by a standardized curriculum and not have academic freedom in my classroom. Now, I understand you guys are hamstrung by the State Board of Education, but there is some academic freedom that you can have with your classrooms and your schools. And to standardize so that every kid can reach a level hurts those that can excel. Kids that are in our Excel program that are really not being challenged, like my son, I challenge my son more at home than anything that our school system does. He learns more from me and his mother than anything he will learn in school. You guys teach him the basics. I teach him you teach him how an engine works. I teach him how to build horsepower. Why are we not teaching our kids how to build horsepower? Do you understand?
I understand, and you know, we do have a basic curriculum, you're right, but you gotta have something. And, you know.
But the way it was portrayed to me was so that if kid A has to move from Spring Place to Eton, he's not behind. It's a time-based curriculum, essentially. Like, you hit this mark at this point. Doesn't matter if the kids can absorb it in X minus 1, you better be at X. Because if student A comes from Spring Place to Eton, he needs to be able to pick right up where they're at. You are handicapping our children doing that.
Well, you know, we can have an argument about, we can have a debate on that, whether we are or whether we're not. I think every teacher with the curriculum that we've got, they have the freedom to expound upon that. However, we have a high transient population in this community that shows up at one school to another.
What percentage of the population, what percentage of the student body is transient?
We can, is Tara out there? Tara? I mean, I don't have that percentage off the top of my head, but we can get it for you. What percentage would you say we have from a transient population, that people that move from one district to another, or they come back from somewhere else? I mean, it's significant.
Yeah, and I mean, I pull it every day, so it's different numbers, whether they come into the county, out of the county, in between schools, that sort of thing. So we do have a large I mean, large group of kids that go from, I mean, they're moving all the time.
What's the total student body count?
The total as a whole, we were about 67 or 6,800.
Yeah, 60, I think when I pulled it this morning, we were at 6883.
Okay.
And that was this morning, you know, so of course I had more enrolling, I'll have more this week withdrawing, you know, but hopefully I've got more coming in.
Is it true that we're down 1,000 roughly students over the last year, too?
No, we are down about 400, close to 500 if you compare 2 years ago to 2014 or 15, but we've added back about 100 every year. I
We
think.
have, and I think at the middle of May, and I did the middle of May because, you know, at one point our seniors didn't graduate. So I did the middle of May, and I wanna say from the middle of May till this morning, we were almost at 100 students. So I was excited to see that, at that point, that we're slowly growing because we are still coming up from the effects of COVID and kids withdrawing. We had a lot of kids that during COVID, right after COVID, withdrew to homeschool, so.
I would like to know what the percentage of the student body is considered transient.
If you'll give us that, if you'll give us your contact information, we'll be glad to get you that number. Can you
Yeah, I
leave
can-
it with
and-
Danielle or get with Tara? She's the.
You can
she's
send
the
it to
one-
me and I can send you our report and kinda help you with what my codes mean, whether they're going in, out, whether they're going from school to school, staying in county. I don't care to do that.
Can you answer any more questions? Anybody have anything else?
I don't have any question, I just have one comment, and I promise I won't, not going to go. I've done beat that horse 2 times around the track this week, the last couple of weeks. And this is just my personal feeling. Let me tell you what, you guys are in tough positions. From the school board, to you, to teachers, to principals, to everybody. And you're sitting here feeling like you're being attacked, and some may be justified, some may not be justified, I don't know. I'm just, first time, a week ago, was the first time I ever came to a school board meeting here. But, like I've said, and many people may not have heard this, and you may not know, I'm a product of Murray County. But the concern I see is, one of the biggest concerns is that a very small percentage pays a bill, which y'all have no control over. You have no control over that. There's a lot of hurt feelings from sitting out here. People may have gotten their feelings hurt, you may have gotten your feelings hurt, I may have hurt your feelings. And if I did, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, I was trying to gather information. And I'm saying that publicly. But I think, personally, we gotta work together as a county. We got to try to do some things to find other revenue sources, and you talked to me about lawmakers. Well, you know what? I looked up 3 of them that were my students at North Georgia. And I'll assure you that I'm gonna be contacting them, 2 of them are on the appropriations committee. But if we can get some things going, I don't know how we can make it happen. But all I'm saying is, it would kinda, to me, if you reduced it, and I know you're saying, and maybe some of the teachers and principals are saying, well, $1 million is not gonna really help much. And it's not gonna help me that much. You know what? If you reduce the millage to 14.5 or 15, I'll still pay all my tax this year. I ain't gonna do that, because I wanna see this school system work. But I'm telling you, there's people on fixed incomes that can't, I mean, it's $1,000 last year for me, it's $1,000 this year extra for me. You know, and again, I'm just saying, to me, it just, in a sense, shows a good faith effort, and I know we talked about this, where you're afraid you're going to come back and raise it back the next year? Maybe so, maybe not. I guess we cross that bridge when they get there. But to me, in a $74 million budget, I can find $1 million. And again, and the thing about it is, it helps everybody sitting in this room and people that can't come, the older people who could not be here. And you know, y'all gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, I understand that. Like I said, I was here for 4 years. And like I said, ain't no hard feelings with me, no way, but I think that it would be best for our county to show, in a sense, a working relationship instead of, it seems like everything just continues to increase. And I know costs go up, but 3 years ago, there was an $800,000 increase. Last year, there's a 1.5 million. This year, it's almost a 1.4. I mean, that's, you know, that's $4.1 million in 3 years. And that's what I think, and for me, that's how I question, how do you keep adding that much cost? And, you know, and that's all I'm gonna say. And, but that's my feeling about it, and I've told you what I'll do. If you reduce the rate to 15 or 14 and a half, I promise you, I'll show everybody in here, I can show you what my tax bill is, and I'll pay the exact same thing. And I won't take the reduced rate, is what I'll do. That's how much it means to me.
No, I ain't doing that. It ain't about the tax rate for me, it's about where our kids are. And something ain't been done right, period. And we see it as a waste of money. That's the problem. You keep wanting to throw out one school system or one grade system, I care less about one. I'm looking at the whole, across the board. The ones on the south end is just as important as ones on the north end. So, don't pull out one. If we're failing, we fail as a team. If you lose, if Murray County football team loses this Friday night, they lose as a team. It ain't because one of them won. We lose as a community. And that's the problem we have.
Steve, would you be willing to go back through the budget, considering Mr. Dunn's statements, and see if there's anywhere you could cut?
We could go, there's always somewhere you can cut. And I go back through, but the budget's already adopted. We've already hired teachers. You have to hire teachers back in April and May. That's already said. You can find something to cut, but that's what I say. I mean, our policy, what we've done is to live at the same rate. We know there's increased costs that come, and I get it. I know. I have to pay it too. I understand. But the problem is looking as the chief operating officer of the school system, where is this school system gonna be this time next year? We're gonna be right back here at the same thing. What are we gonna do? What I know, there's things that we have paid for with our CARES Act money that we have done, that we're gonna have to make a decision. Are we gonna continue those things on or not? Those things are coming. And we can roll it back, but it's gonna make it even more exacerbate the problem of where we are this time next year.
So back to my point, what academic progress did we make with the CARES Act money?
I think we made significant, and you know.
According to the data that Mr. Abernathy's sharing, the school system did not.
Says we're failing, and every school's failing, and we stink.
Mr. Abernathy is not saying that. Mr. Abernathy is stating that our entire system as a whole is not progressing the way that it needs to.
Thank you. I never said.
And I would agree that we have not progressed as we want to.
So then the CARES Act money was a waste of the taxpayer dollars at the federal level, right? Would you concede that?
But I don't have any control of that. It was sent to us, we used it.
I understand, and we pissed it away.
No.
Is what I'm hearing.
That's not true.
We bought Chromebooks.
I know where it went. I'm well aware of that
We
program.
bought all that, so did we throw it away? I don't think so. I think we made good.
Did we turn it into academic success? Did we?
Absolutely we did. Now, Mr. Abernathy's saying as a whole we didn't, and I agree, we win as a team, everybody, but there's there's areas across the board where as a whole, we have made progress. We have gotten students that are more close to being on grade level reading than ever
So if you're
before.
making progress elsewhere, then you are losing progress somewhere else.
Some places.
If we're flat, if his data shows we're flat to down, but we have made progress in some areas, then we have lost somewhere else. There's no net gain, period.
There is a net.
How is there a net gain if the entire system isn't improving?
The entire, as a whole, you can look, he said, it's how you wanna look at it. I can tell you,
How do
I
we,
know.
look, we're all Murray County taxpayers here. I'm not a Northwest Elementary School taxpayer. He's not an Eton Elementary School taxpayer. We are Murray County taxpayers. So don't tell me we're progressing at some level when the whole system is not progressing at that level. We're not progressing.
What he's trying to say is that the numbers don't go up as a whole. That means you might have went up in this one, but you went down another. If you went up at this one and maintained, then the number as a whole would go up. That's how math works. I mean, after 9 years of college, I believe I got it figured out.
But, I mean, if we're gains or not in one area, you have a negative somewhere else that's canceling it out. So that's where I think that's where my concern is. That we're not growing, the school system as a whole is not progressing. What does that mean for my fifth grader and my first grader? Whenever they get to, my kid's not gonna have an option. They're gonna have to go to some trade school or some college or the military or get a job after school. No choice about that, right? When they hit 18 and they graduate, they're out of my house. Because I firmly believe the best way for them to succeed is to sink or swim. I want them to succeed. I want them to pursue higher education. Are they gonna be prepared?
It is our.
Are schools even gonna entertain wanting to accept them because of the system that they come from? A 4.0 from Murray County High School may not mean the same as one from Dalton High, or one of the Cherokee County schools, Sequoia, whatever. It's not apples to apples. How do we get to that point? That's my question is, where are the dollars being spent to get us on par with our district president?
We increased.
No, you showed me where we're increasing in health benefits and all of that stuff. Buses and stuff like that. Buses, I get it, it's all part of it, but I'm gonna hush before I get more emotional about it.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanna say I respect everyone's opinion in this room. We all have an opinion and we're all entitled to it, and we respect each other's opinion. I worked in Murray County Schools for 25 years. Very proud graduate of Murray County High School. I've lived here my whole life. I chose to live here. I didn't have to live here. I chose to live here. This is where my heart is in this community. Being in the school system as direct education, I was in charge of the largest budget that was local money, and I had to ask for approval from the board every year for the money I got. And I promise you, I told them I would be good stewards of their money. I always tried my best to make 1 penny go as far as 2 pennies could go. I never went the easy route. When we built North Murray, we were the only school system with my budget for the capital equipment at North Murray. I could have turned it over to a school supply company. I handpicked every piece of equipment that went in that building. I picked it out. I was told by the state I could have 3 cosmetology stations. Took me 6 weeks, but I found a company in Connecticut that had double-sided stations. So I was able to get 6 for the price of 3. I have never, in the 25 years I worked in the school system, my 63 years that I've been alive, I've paid my taxes in Murray County. When we decided to build North Murray, we thought we'd have a tax increase at that time, our millage rate would have to go up. We did not. We held firm, and we built a beautiful school, we built many beautiful schools. In hindsight, we should look across the road and say, we could go back to the late eighties, somebody should not have built a school on agriculture pasture. We've had sewage problems, the whole time I was there, we would have sewage would run into the gym. Not just into the locker rooms, into the gyms. These people work day in and day out. They don't take this $74 million and look at it as an arbitrary number and say, oh, I've got $74 million to spend. I'm gonna spend $74 million. They look at it, they make it go the best. And fathers, if they can, I know someone was talking about the enrollment center. We've had an enrollment center forever. It used to be behind Chatsworth Elementary. We could put the enrollment back in the school system, but you're gonna have to hire more people if you're gonna put the enrollment back in each school system. And you're gonna have somebody that's gonna have to cart this information around because some of the records are not digital. The enrollment center is a good use of our money. I also heard someone was complaining about school nurses and SROs. Last school year, a young lady's life was saved because there was a nurse in the building who could administer Narcan. Now, what caused that student to get to that point, that's not my business. But what if they had fallen on a teacher's hand? For years at Murray County High School, I distributed all the medicine. I had to do the finger sticks. I'm not qualified to do that. We had no one else that was willing to do it, so I did it. I'm very thankful we have nurses in our school. And if one life saved is all we get, then every penny for nurses is worth it. 39 years ago, I was really struggling with the cost of what my taxes were at that time. A man that I went to many times for guidance told me at that time, he said, Sugarfoot, be glad you got the money to pay for your taxes. That man is Carlton Petty. He never once complained about paying his taxes. And from that point on, I understood what it meant to be a part of my community. They're not asking to raise the millage rate. They've not asked for an increase. We've not had an increase in over 20 years. Things do cost more, and if you don't think they cost more, then go back in your tax records and look how much you paid for a vehicle in 2008 and how much that vehicle would cost you in 2023. I know no one likes to pay taxes. I don't like to pay taxes, but I will pay taxes. I am blessed that I live in America. I am thankful I live in Georgia. I love living in Murray County. And I will do anything I can to help my school system. We have amazing kids who have graduated from Murray County schools. We have teachers, we have police officers, we have firemen, we have doctors, we have lawyers. We have people under the Gold Dome who went to Murray County. We are not a failure here. And I hope no one in this room leaves here thinking that our children are failures and that they tell anyone or tell a child that they're a failure because they go to school in Murray County. I'm sorry, I'll get loud sometimes. I'm sorry, I'm through.
Anybody else? Any questions?
I'm a property owner here for 3 years. I built a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house on a couple acres of land. The tax bill that I've got in the mail for this year, it's running me about $52, $53 a week to own a 1,300 square foot, 2-bed, 2-bath house. And y'all are asked it. I think that's steep. It's for the kid, you know, everything's for the kids, You take $50 a week out of somebody's pocket at home. I told the tax commissioner this and he kinda giggled. He laughed at, $50 isn't a lot of money, but for some people it is.
$2,500?
It's a starter house, it's a starter home, I'm trying to get established here. About $52, $53 a week to own that.
You're just renting it.
No, yeah, it feels like it.
Anybody else?
Can you vote here in front of us, cause it looks like y'all done something, this is not a personnel issue, right?
No, yeah, we're gonna have the vote
Right
here
in front of
just a
us?
little- Yes, we'll have the vote here as soon as ever we've done all the questions and answered, then there will be a vote, so we're required by law to set the bill. So, yes. This is the third meeting, start here today.
I'm asking, Lucy, how much of an increase are we asking for here?
Well, the rate is the same.
Oh,
The
okay.
rate is, like I said, 15.5 million.
So the millage rate is not
No,
going
ma'am.
up?
The millage rate is the same. Where the increase comes at is because of the value.
So
has a
they're
certain
increasing your property
value, right, that's correct.
I'm trying to.
No, that's all, that's a common
So
distance.
millage rate is not going up, but the value of my, value of my property is going to increase, that's what you're telling me.
Yes, yeah, and this next year, somewhere you think, just from an economic standpoint, where's it going? It's gonna go back the other way.
And can you have any idea how much that would increase for an average person as far as how much their property value would increase? Or will you not know
I
that?
don't know that, it depends on the parcel and where it is. That's
Exactly.
something the tax assessor would
Yeah,
have. I mean,
okay, all
I
right.
don't.
No, I understand that, and I don't know, I was trying to understand where the money with the millage rate fund, where's the money coming from? So you're saying you're gonna raise the property value. Now, how the property value is actually increasing now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just, it's about that.
Some people's property, some of the value did increase, but some people's did decrease. So, I mean, it does go both ways.
Mine didn't.
What do you want to spend on the concession stand for the football field?
Well, we already approved that, or the board did, it's paid out of the SPOS revenue, not one penny of tax dollars, because that was the excess SPOS. And the voters approved to improve the athletic facilities, and that concession stand, price is $1.9 million.
So why would the concession stand that cost $1.9 million?
No, that's the whole athletic facility, that's the stadium, the track, the concession stand, that's everything.
That's just the concession stand.
We can just, I agree with you, and we cut 33% off of that.
Why would you pay $1.9 million for a building, Steve, no bigger it's gonna be?
A block building.
A
Would you
block
pay it
building.
personally?
The reason that it is as high as it is because of the number of restroom facilities that are.
You got any?
How much does a commode cost?
Let me, I had some of the same questions, and I researched this, and I got an explanation that I better understand, and here's the explanation. Talking to a couple companies that build schools, like they're building Beaufort City Schools, they're building Beaufort Athletic Complex. The thing about it is, in restrooms, concession stands are not built really by the square foot. This comes from a person that I've known for 50 years. Every toilet, urinal, vanity costs $4,500 to $5,000 for anybody that's building a concession stand or restrooms. Because I have the same concerns. Why in the world are we doing this? Supposedly it comes from the state based on where the number of people, the size of the stadium. But I just found this out, and I don't know, I never knew it till just the other day. And that may clarify some questions for you, because the other key to this thing is the ventilation system. The ventilation system in the restrooms have to redistribute the air every 30 minutes. otherwise staff for them. So, I don't know if that helps you or not, understand, because, like I said, Steve will tell you, and they'll tell you, I hit them hard about $2 million for that, I was concerned.
When's the stopping point, Randy? Is what I don't know. We're getting older, and we're gonna be walking the cane if we live long enough. So when's the stopping point?
And that's why I made the comment. You know, people that are in their thirties and forties, you know, one day they're gonna be where I am, and they're gonna be on a fixed income. And when you start drawing Social Security, you can't make $23,000.
And if it keeps tracking, we're done. You realize that, right?
And Steve and I haven't beat that horse to death, and that's what I'm telling you.
If it keeps
He's
tracking.
gonna be on this side in a couple of years. He's gonna be out here.
That's right.
He's a big landowner. He's gonna be on this side with us in a couple of years.
And
Wait and
you
see.
know what, that's the reason I'm saying that we
Right
gotta
over
find,
here.
we gotta find some other sources besides the 1,400 and something people that's paying the taxes for the school board.
Our sales tax is 8% already.
I understand that, and you know what, I've already looked up the legislators and the speaker of the house and,
Is our state representative here today?
But I've got three, that were students of mine in North Georgia. One of them, was a senator. So, I'm telling you, I'm gonna go start approaching these people, and we talked this morning to go, but we as a community, I think, have to try to do something to change the direction, and it's not just Murray County. And listen, they'll tell you, I done beat them all up for 2 days. And that's the reason I ain't going there, because I've told them what I'm asking them to do, and told them what I'd do if they did. If they don't wanna do it, they don't do it. But
There's gotta be a stopping point.
I understand, I agree 100%.
Can I say something? This is my first time coming to this meeting. I got invited here, and I'm not a property owner, but I hope to be one day. I rent right now, and you started off, and, you know, of course, we all wanna help the kids. It sounded great. I wanna do anything for these kids to help them succeed. But this trickles down for more than just the property owners. When y'all raise this up, guess what? Some of these property owners rent out their places. Guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna raise the rent. That's what they're gonna do, because you know what? They're gonna, nothing against, you know, the property owners, but they gotta take care of their families also. So when they raise the rent, guess who has to pay? I do. So I have to take money away from my kids now. And so I think people just wanna make sure that if they're paying more money, they wanna make sure that it's getting spent the right way. And you're right, as a whole, if we didn't succeed, well, guess what? Is one school getting more of this than another school? Because that's not right. So it trickles, it's more than just, it affects more than just property owners. And I'm happy I came here today. I wish I'd come to the other ones now.
So $2 million for a stadium, for a high school, 6 games a year, 8 games a year, it just seems a bit.
My question is, how many bids to take on that?
It's 422
We had
fixtures,
three or four
$4,500
bids,
piece.
and Miss Morrow can tell you about we had a meeting when we had the concession stand, and we had a good 15 or 20 people there who were advocating to build it.
What interest did they have in it?
Can I get a real, everybody stay
Anybody else?
I wanna say one thing. I know you gotta do what the board says to do, but me and my family are totally against this, and that's all I'm gonna say.
We are too. Hey, you're gonna force us out of the land business.
Yeah.
You're gonna force us to have trailer parks more, and we don't want it. We got plenty.
And no one's gonna move here.
And nobody wants to move here if you're gonna put the tax up so high to force the landowner out.
How come the land went up in this county? I call y'all 4 or 5 other counties, same price.
We own land here for hundreds of years. Y'all own land here for a long, long time. You won't be forced out because you're raising the taxes up so high to force the landowners out. You have green space, don't you? The only way you're gonna have green space, you gotta keep the taxes lower.
It costs a salary.
It does.
And
We got one too, we got two or three of them, you can't hold on to them.
Greg Holden told us the other night at the GOP meeting, and you go back and ask Billy Childers, same thing. He's held the budget and has actually lowered it on his side, cause he's managed the funds properly and right. Take it up Billy Childers, I'm just telling you what Billy stood up and said, and Greg said the same thing. And I don't have the evidence, I'm telling you, I don't think the man stood up and lied there.
Steve,
You
you're a
already
farmer.
said it.
You're a farmer.
You
Steve, you
already
growed up on
said
a
it.
farm.
Aaron, I want my turn.
Okay.
Steve, you growed up on a farm.
Wait a minute, let
My turn.
We can't see you, Judge, don't want to see you.
I got to sit behind the TV. I said
When
last
he
year.
came into office
Hold on,
because
hold on.
Brittany lowered it.
Hold on.
When she got out.
No.
How much land do you own, Mr. Phillips? How much your taxes you
Let
pay?
him speak.
Let me speak. And I got a lot of land too, not near as much as you, we're not all blessed like you.
Hey, my daddy worked hard, my grandpa worked hard. He raised his money.
Listen, in 20, hold on, I get it, I'll tell you exactly what it was. In 2013, the county millage rate was 5.8. In 2014, they raised it to 7.2. That was Brittany. In 2016, she lowered it to 7.1, 1/10 of a million. Greg raised it to 9.1. He's dropping it back, proposing to drop it back to 8.1. The school system, all the way back to 2003, was 15.5.
Okay, y'all saying 15.5 on the millage rate, but that's what y'all keep saying, to make it sound like the prices ain't going up.
Our values
But
are
you
going.
turn around, you're gonna say you're raising the value.
Our
I don't
values
care
are
which
going.
way
We don't raise the value. We're not the assessors.
Yeah, but y'all know they're going to, right?
Millage rate on top.
Well, why doesn't the county go back to
I don't have to
5.8?
get 17% based off that right there in 2 years. You want 17% every 2 years?
Well,
Is that
hey,
what you asking
why
for?
doesn't the county go back to 5.8? You're asking us to lower it, you ain't, did you?
No, I ain't asking, I'm asking to hold it the same. Ain't nobody
Ain't
asking to lower it. Hold it the same. Yeah.
But you're asking us to lower ours.
Managed by money.
Yeah, if you have, it's like going to Kohl's and you get up there to pay your bill and the woman says, hey, you saved $50 today.
You spent $50.
I always ask Miss Clinton, that's real funny, I got less money in my pocket when I walked out than I did when I walked in.
I just wanna know, did y'all go ask the county to get back to 5.8?
Hey, we ain't talking about the county right now, we're talking about the school board.
Alright.
He brought up.
No, I brought it up because he actually cut it back from what it was last year.
Yeah, cause he's stuck for 2 millage points. If we could've raised the millage rate back in 10 and not had a tax increase. And we wouldn't, and then we could've lowered it, and, said we were heroes, but we'd have still been charging you more back in 2010.
I know when I look at my tax bill and everybody in here looks at it, it says government tax or the county tax right there, it is a third of what this is.
Yep, and it used to be a quarter.
It is a third of what this is.
And it used to be a
The
quarter.
number one spending of any county in any state in the United States is controlled by the school board. Y'all know it, I know it, and these people here know it. At some point, you gotta stick with the budget, because if you run your house like you run this place right here, you'll be bankrupt.
Anybody else?
So, Mr. Aldridge, if you did roll back in good faith, as this gentleman said, how does that affect the budget overall?
It doesn't affect the budget overall.
Okay.
What you will do is because it will lower your fund balance at the end of 2000 and this fiscal year. So when you start hiring teachers, when you start realizing what you're gonna do going forward, you're gonna have to address that in your next budget cycle. Are you gonna increase class size? And there's a number of questions that will have to be asked. Are you gonna increase class size? Are you gonna have less teachers? What are you gonna do about various programs that are paid for that we've had now such as elementary art, such as bilingual office positions at every elementary school. What are we gonna do there? And those are questions that we'll have to address, so when that, cause we'll be back, whether the rate, whatever it happens with inflationary growth, whatever, I don't know, cause we're gonna be doing this in March before we ever even know this. We're gonna do that, and we're gonna hire based off of what we project, not knowing what the rate's gonna be. We don't know that till August, but we're required by law to do it by June the 30th. So what will happen will be you can lower it back, but then you still got all of these various things that are coming down the pipe for the next 2 or 3 years. So how are you gonna keep those costs in line? What are you gonna do there? There's a lot of factors to address.
So you're saying if you hire new teachers, for example, doesn't someone usually have to retire out and that's replaced in that position? Are you saying we're going that fast, we have to add
I'm
additional?
saying it depends on the numbers and whether you increase or you decrease. And, it could be, and you can always reduce, as we did in 2010 to 2012, we had to reduce when the property values went down, we kept our millage rate the same, and we decreased the number of positions we had and did what's called reduction in force. And that's a thing that is possible. I mean, I don't know what's coming 2 or 3 years from now, I'm just saying you've got to always kind of keep that in
You
mind.
said was 500 students short than what we was, so right?
From about, roughly 500 from 2 years ago, but it's less than that now, because we gained about 100 last year, and we gained another 100 this year. So I'd say comparatively speaking, we about, I don't know, I hadn't looked at the exact numbers for this year compared, but I'd say we're probably 300 down. Yeah.
Well, I do have one more question, and it's about the CARES money. When all of that money runs out, positions, either whether it be single office positions, teachers, or whatever, when all of that money is gone, will those positions all be eliminated?
Well, it depends on what we as the board will have to, when we start focusing on our budget for next year, we've got to determine what we're gonna do.
So how will that, how much of that money is left? I know there was millions of it sent to the county. So can you tell us about how much of that is left?
For this budget year, where's Dr. Smith? Back there, what we got left? We go over it every month at the board meeting.
1.1 million.
1.1 million is what we got.
How much did y'all get, Steve, at the beginning?
At the total,
Yes, sir.
Total over the 2021 and 22 is 20 million.
20 million, y'all done went off through 19 of it. Still collecting.
You have to either spend it or lose it. You have to spend it by,
Where'd that go?
it went to intervention teachers, it went to art teachers. It went, 2 million went to the schools to help them with supplies. Over $2 million went for Chromebooks. Then we bought printers, whiteboards, computers, laptops, for the teachers in the classrooms.
So the teachers didn't get a raise a bit out of it.
You can't pay salaries out of it.
And also ventilation systems, because they have both ventilation systems.
yes, we did it, glad.
I got a question. In terms of, she brought up the intervention teachers, and I am a retired school teacher, and I taught fifth grade math for 20 years. And nothing helps student achievement like EIP, early intervention, your Title I teacher, your media. Do you still have all that in school that's addressing your student achievement, or has the EIP been?
No.
I heard it's not in the school.
How many do we have? Because at one time, EIP, one time, just real many, we had 6 to 8 interventionists, or not, we didn't call that, called EIP, Title I teachers. When I retired, you know how many EIP teachers Coker had? 1, and I was it.
And that is the foundation.
And that's
Elementary's
from
the foundation.
kindergarten
That's what you do
through
to make that. They were talking about a 3rd grade to 7th grade. I too have had 5th grade come to me that was math on a 2nd and 3rd grade level with the help of EIP, remedial and Title I teachers. But as she said, point in time, and they were wonderful, and student tests were up, whether it was QBE or CRCC, our scores were good. It didn't matter what the curriculum was or the standards or where they came from. So, do we still have that same kind of concentration as far as that?
Yes, we have the EIP teachers, and some of
So
them.
how many at each elementary school now?
There's at least, I know there's at least one, and it depends, the principal has the discretion to see how they
One
want
per
to do their
school?
class line. One, plus we have an intervention teacher.
So two per
So
school?
there's at least
For
two.
kindergarten through six, we have two,
Kindergarten through six, yes, ma'am.
and we wonder why we can't bridge the gap.
And I think some of the spending that's been done heavy in the central office that could have went to those type of positions to directly
And I
help the
think that's-
students. That's what most people here are concerned about, the wasteful spending that's not going to the
Not going
teachers
to-
and the students.
Yes.
And there's a lot of it.
How many jobs you created in central office lately? New jobs?
There was one, instructional technology, director to help because we have all Chromebooks. There was one wellness director, that was created to help manage the nurses, social workers and all that. And then there was one, communications person.
And assistant superintendent?
No, we always have an superintendent.
So our numbers are down and we're hard.
We hired, those.
We got about 1,000 before.
But it's a question of how we got by or what we did, so.
That's their part of the budget.
I'm flabbergasted by the two, I'm sorry, Steve, but the two remedial or the interventions that you have at elementary level. Because if we think two of those are gonna help make any growth or gains with students it's gonna need, then we're all delusional. That's
And we
ridiculous.
cut some of those this year, we lost some.
Because they were paid out of charity, that was cut, we cut one in each school. That's right.
Are the rest of them from the two?
The other way, we'll have to, I don't know, we gotta figure out what we're going for. Come about March.
I think just those things and things like paying Dale Murphy, who was my childhood idol, $12,500 to come speak. And then asking teachers to buy their own printer paper and ink cartridges for the printers.
Well, and then
Things
the
like, that's a
systems that
small
we can't
example,
come.
but things
As
like
far as
that.
Dale Murphy coming, he paid $1 a property tax money was paid for that, not one. It was paid for with vending money and from Coke proceeds that we have, that because we are a Coke system for things such as that. That's what that money is, so.
I don't wanna
that-
speak for him, but Scott Humphrey's one of your dear friends as he is mine, and he's one of the best motivational speakers in the country and loves this community and probably would have come and done that for free.
Good to know. Yes,
Last summer, there was a paving project at Coker Elementary, for the paved parking lot. And in the dumpster was several $100s worth of brand new crayons, art pencils, never opened, crepe papers and stuff in the dumpster. Never been opened, thrown in the dumpster.
Well, some teachers probably bought that out of their own pocket. I
don't believe
My whole career.
Shouldn't
and you
have
take
been
the
thrown
fortune.
away.
Hell, I would throw it away, I thought of it, I didn't. And it could have been reclaimed out the art. I mean, that's, I don't know, but.
anybody else? All right, if we don't have any, then I guess we will adjourn this and then we can go directly into the Senate millage rate.
All right, I need a motion that we adjourn this meeting. Motion by Brenda. Second by Kelly, all in favor. We are adjourned. Okay. Now I need we'll call this meeting, to set the village rate to order. You've got a copy of the agenda, which is, of course, the one item, to set the village rate. I need a motion that we approve the agenda as presented. Motion by Kelly. Second. Second, Conrad, all in favor? It is approved. pledge of inspiration on the agenda, so I'm gonna ask you would please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God, I just want to thank you for this day. Lord, and thank you for all these folks that came out here showing interest in our school. Lord, I just pray that you will be with each child and each teacher as we go through this year. Lord, just help us to make the right decision and just be with us and guide us. In your name I pray.
All right, next item is the superintendent's report,
That's millage rate. My recommendation that we leave the millage rate at 15.5, where it's been for the last 22 years.
is there any further discussion from the board? All right, I need a motion that we, approve the recommendation, keep the millage rate at 15.5%. Mills, sorry, 15.5 mills.
So moved.
Motion by Aaron.
Second.
I don't know who was first. Second by Dwayne, all in favor? Any opposed? We have two, right? Tanner's, okay, so it's 5-2. Okay. All right, anything else from the board? Motion by
Can I
Kelly.
say something first?
Yes.
I was a teacher for 30 years. And y'all, these teachers love this and they want what is best. And I just want us to be able to give them the supplies and the everything that they need so that these kids can do well and can go out into the world and meet people. I want them to be the top, that when they go to a college, that they go, you came from Murray County, I know you did, because of the way you're acting and the way you speak, let you know. So I just want y'all to remember that we really do try to do what's best for the kids. That's all.
I have a motion from Ms. Reed to adjourn. Second from Aaron, all in favor? We are adjourned.
What do you say, Megan? Yeah.